All right, we're going to do some live trading here in the market. It is Monday, August 18th. We're just headed into the open, so I'm still just reviewing the charts, figuring out what's going on here, sipping on my morning coffee. So as we look back here, we've got some divergence coming from here, the bearish divergence up there. We're coming off of these all-time highs, so I'm going to be watching for any other significant levels as we scroll back here. Even zoom out just a little bit so I can get a better view. Okay, so you can see here we've definitely had some rejection off of these levels. It's been a pivot point in other places for sure. Okay, so now we should see the volume pick up as we start into the open here. As you can see, I'm looking for my quad rotation here on these 4 stochastics. Nowhere near it, so I don't have to even pay that close of attention right now. There's just nothing to look at until these are much closer to oversold territory on at least 3 of these stochastics. We'll let these continue to run here, see what comes of it. While we're waiting, maybe I can show you some of the things I pay attention to as far as news goes. I don't think we have much to pay attention to this week, though. Might be some earnings, yeah. Nothing much. But one of the things I do check here, again, a little bit of a shout out here to Top 1 Futures. They just make it super easy to look at what news could be coming into play, what the impact is. It's my go-to source because it's so quick and easy to just get a list of what's going on. So, nothing in the high impact. I usually don't pay attention to anything below a high. Not for my scalping strategy. It's just not going to make a difference. So hopefully one of the things you can kind of glean from this is it makes it very easy for me to stay out of the market. I can just look here and say, I don't have a trade. I'm nowhere near a triple or quad rotation. I'm fine. I don't even need to pay that close of attention to the market right now. I can go do some other things. So apologies if it makes for a boring video here. But that's really what it takes if you're trading the live market. You've got to be patient. We're getting some movement here up along this VWAP. Apologies there. I needed to realized I wasn't logged in here to my Take Profit Trader. So this is a current prop firm that I'm working with there. I'm trying to remember what the account is. It's not a straight to live, but there's no extra fee in it once you pass the account. So I'm still looking for a $3,000 profit here. You can tell I just bought it, so I'm at 49,341. I don't like to focus on P&L. I just want to be a transparent trader on this channel. That's more than anything what I'm going for. It's not to show that I'm making a bunch of money or that I'm that amazing of a trader, really. It's more around just being transparent and honest and building a community around that. So we've got 3 of them now coming into that territory here. Probably going to take this down because it's maybe 20 ticks here, 25. That's $250 risk. See, we've got volume starting to roll over here as it's starting to hook down. Now I think this is going to want to bounce a little. It is rejecting off the VWAP, which is interesting. Yeah, so it's coming into the territory of that 9 EMA, which is a valid entry. Again, I just don't have that consolidation. Trying to decide if that's worth the risk to get in. That's definitely not an A setup. Excuse me, I'm just gonna let my dog out. Yeah, so we've got it now coming down into this area, and this is really what you look for. I want to look for a top out, come back down a little bit into the 60 range, roll back up into overbought conditions, and then back down again. That's what I'd look for. But we do have it wanting to close below the 9 EMA. Check my indicator settings here. I've still got it set up for B grade, and I'm only showing signals for A and B grade. Haven't gotten any of those yet, for whatever that's worth. I do have my ramp down, so if you were looking for a B trade setup, you wanted to take that risk, you could have taken that trade off of there. It did close below the 9 EMA, but see how it immediately is ticking back up. It's probably going to come into this level again. I want to make this a little bit more visible. I noticed in my last video this was really tiny consolidated. Um, I do like to keep a number of bars visible so that I can see my support and resistance levels. Yes, I've got this green area down here for my support level, but can't see resistance levels, and I like to just look left for a lot of that. So I've realized that makes it tough to see inside the video, though. I'm going to do my best not to zoom out more than this, unless I'm just looking left, and then I can zoom right back in. So $250 risk for $750 reward. That'd be fantastic. I'm not going after that 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 ratio that I have in here. I kind of want to see what that plots on the chart. In fact, let's do that really quick. If we're looking at sells and my take profit is 75 ticks, you see how far away from the actual range I am. I'm going to need to be more like here and here. So maybe that 15 ticks that I had on my stop loss was about right. 1627. That seems about right. I'm only risking 160 at that point, so I can probably bump this up to 10. That's 200. I like that. Right now I am looking for sells just because it's holding this VWAP here. It's rejected once, and I'm hoping it doesn't immediately fall here. It looks like it's wanting to. It may just keep running down. But that wasn't my trade, right? I didn't have it hook back up into the overbought territory. So yes, it is below the 9 EMA, but doesn't line up for a quad rotation or even a triple rotation. So now we're going to wait for it to roll clear back under. Maybe look for a bounce off of the support level. That's what it seems like we're going to be looking for. And this is the mundaneness, the boringness, if you will, of the live market. It just doesn't work the same way that you always would expect it to. Not sure why these are continually resetting on me. Let's go 1530. That's a 2-to-1, right? May go a little bit more than that, but we'll see. Again, I don't like to focus on it has to be a 2-to-1. I'm fine with charting it, plotting it as a 2-to-1 and see what that looks like, but it's more just about what the market's willing to give me. And if it's in this, if I'm rolling from the oversold conditions here on the lower side, right? And I'm looking for an exit around that 80 line for overbought on the 9 stochastic, well, then that may be all I get. And it may be a lot less than 30 ticks, but I'll take the base hit. Yeah, you can see this B starting to form here. Looks really good. It is wanting to go above the 9 EMA, which is also telling. But it's also just tiny consolidation. I mean, we're talking what here between, if you remove the wicks and we go to the top of these two bodies, 6470 down to 64, 64, 75, 64, 65. Geez, that's just not much movement here. I have, again, been trading MNQ. That's been my go-to instrument. Ooh, but we even had a gap on NQ. That's pretty rare in the future space. I'm going to stay away from that even more than normal then. More volume, obviously, more ticks movement, but more volatility. So it did close above that 9 EMA. Looks like it wants to keep going on that. But again, I've got no indicator saying it's a buy or a sell signal. I'm not looking at this as truly oversold down here. It may have touched there, but it's not in oversold territory here. Definitely not here. You did have the ramp up, but by the time that ramp up looks good, it's too late, right? Now you're trying to catch that momentum after it's already happened. I'll move this down, try to give us a little more space here. I don't love how this is taking up so much of the chart. I got to shrink it down just a little bit. You can see why these visuals are so important on the stochastics, though. You can't really trade this strategy without them. But I also want to see the actual chart. Yeah, so we got the Dow Jones, opens lower, Ukraine meeting in focus. You won't find me talking much about politics. I've mentioned that in a few of my videos already, but I just don't love getting into it. I've had a lot of coaches that are political, and it's not that we all have to agree. I just don't think it plays that much into this strategy because it's so fast paced and moving. Unless you're catching the exact time, CPI comes out or something, it's not going to impact you. So my goal has been to stay away from politics as much as possible. I'm not a fundamental trader. Again, I stay more on the technical. Discretionary technical is what I guess I would say my trading style is. Okay, we're in overbought territory here across 3. Our volume is still looking like a ramp up though. And you can see how far this needs to come back down to get below the 9 EMA. Doesn't look good. We're going to get through maybe to the 950 reversal zone here. I'll look at this and see if there's trade happening right in this zone, but if not, I may pause this and we can come back later in the day and try to find something else. This is what I typically do. I don't want to force a trade here where there isn't one. I'm not getting any indicators for buy signals, even a B setup, right? I've got this divergence down here. That's kind of the last signal the indicator has really mentioned, is that this is a support zone, and here's your last bullish divergence. Well, that's not helpful now that we're some 30 bars since then. That's yeah, so that was 8:40, and we're now to almost 10 o'clock. So this 950 reversal zone might be interesting because we're seeing a little bit of consolidation. You can see the other thing my indicator does is it actually tells you the overbought or oversold conditions. As these fall back into the range, they actually disappear off the chart to keep your chart clean. This is not the greatest setup, and I'm not even getting a signal from the indicator here, but it does look like it wants to roll over, fall back down. it's so far away from that 9 EMA. So I don't love that because it's got to have some serious momentum to get down there, and by that time you wonder if the momentum's going to be exhausted and not move. It is ramping down a little bit, which is interesting. But I need these to start to touch. Yeah, this is not an A setup, but I'm going to go ahead and take this trade. Yeah, that's going to be too high. I need to get it more up in this level where it's been touching. See what we get here. Try not to let my emotions get the better of me. As this starts to move, it looks good. It's going to fall below that VWAP there. And I'm going to start to watch this just because if it still wants to consolidate, it's going to want to turn back against me pretty quick. And I may just take some profits and go if it's going to turn back at all. 150 is not a bad day. Yeah, I'm in 200. This is my kind of take profit territory, and I can call it a day. So I'll let this settle for just a second longer. All right. It hit my take profit there, my 30 tick take profit. So that's great. I don't need to sit there and worry that, hey, only took 2 candles. There might have been a lot more to run. Yes, there might have been, but look at it pull back too. I could go either way. In fact, if you want, I'll stay recording here for another minute, and let's just see where it ends up. You can see my indicator did pop there for a hot second on this candle where I did enter. It obviously wasn't quite enough of the conditions being met, and I'm not sure which one wasn't met for that B grade. We'd have to go back through all of the math that it's doing there, but still took a small profit, and that's great. I may look for one more opportunity towards a little bit later in the day, and I'll see if I can get another recording for us. But that was a single trade for today, and that may be the only trade I take. I'm going to go ahead and stop there. It looks like it is going to trail down a little bit, but I don't expect it to bounce too much off of this, or I don't expect it to drop below the support level, excuse me. It may, but I don't have a desire to sit here and watch it continue to go down. I don't think that helps anybody emotionally. If you've got your profits, you're doing fine for the day. Why sit there and torture yourself watching it go lower and thinking I should have stayed in? I don't like to have that attitude. I just don't think that's healthy. I think that actually can have a worse emotional toll after a win. Why are you wanting to cause pain for yourself just after a base hit? That's all you need. Base hits. You can see I got a little bit of a half tick down, but actually with the wicking candle here that hit my take profit, I'm at that same level. So, and then it immediately turned back up. I'm golden. I'm not gonna keep watching this. I'm gonna leave it there, and I'll see you in the next video.